Really? Perhaps we should be wrapped in ribbons and adorned with flowers. So cute are we, too. My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more. I am unsure. I was too young to understand, and perhaps 'twas bravado on Flemeth's part, or perhaps she was merely amused. I will never know. Flemeth would warn them, once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemeth would use me as bait, a little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom. Sometimes. Eventually. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere, and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum. I think that my mother made it fun so that a child did not learn to fear. And I think that it was necessary. There are no trials for apostates, no prisons, no mercy. There are only absolutes, so only survival matters. If the wilds have taught me anything, 'tis this. First, you must survive. Do you disagree? An enlightened view, or at least an agreeable one. Enough of this talk. Let us return to the task at hand. Yes? We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any. Discuss away. Yes? We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any. Ah, such a romantic, I see. Yes? We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any. Ah, such a romantic, I see. Yes? We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any. Ah, such a romantic, I see. Yes? We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any. Ah, such a romantic, I see. Yes? We are in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any. Ah, such a romantic, I see. Yes? We're in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any. Ah, such a romantic, I see. Yes? We're in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any. Ah, such a romantic, I see. A fine gift. You have my thanks. I am grateful. 'Tis thoughtful indeed. Interesting. 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 Yes? We're in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any. Ah, such a romantic, I see. Yes? We're in camp, so 'tis as good a time as any. Ah, such a romantic, I see.
Yes? Something you need? No, that won't work. That's a wonderful thought. I don't know what to say. Oh, how dear of you. Thank you so much. Why, thank you so much. Yes? Something you need? Yes? What's on your mind? Of course I do. I love stories far too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from... Which one? Alas, it was the frail... Her earthly husband. She was also out of... Andraste was burnt at the stake in Minrathous, the capital of Tevinter. The Tevinter Chantry claims that in Andraste's last moments, Hessarian's heart softened, and he heard the voice of the Maker telling him to end her suffering. He plunged his sword into her heart, and as her blood washed over his hands, he became one of the faithful. Dissenters said that the Archon only converted because he could not stem the tide of Andraste's cult, and was forced to do so to stay in power. We will never know for sure. When Andraste began, the great elf Shatan, the elves claimed the Dales in the south and settled there in the land of their own. The elves lived. This angered the Chantry. The Chantry declared a holy exalted march again during the exalted march of the dead. Some of the elves bitterly accepted that, but others, still fiercely proud of their heritage, refused to bow to the humans. And in beauty, grace, but Andraste saw Anne, and this is why Andraste brought the Imperium to its knees, and her victory